The hard questions of how and why certain things occurred the way they did, especially in the collapse of the third World Trade Center building, building number 7, that most people don't even know about. And finally, why can't Americans hear about FDNY Battalion Chief Orio Palmer, who succeeded in making it to the point of impact on the 78th floor of the South Tower with his men, and reported that he had 2 isolated pockets of fire and that we should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. So he made it up to the fire floor, and he saw what was going on. And contradicting the official storyline that it was a raging fire up there, here's a brave fireman who made it onto the fire floor and was doing his job. 1 minute after the final transmission, the South Tower collapsed.
Battalion 7 on floor 40 of Tower 2. We got 1 elevator working up to the 40th floor, staffed by a member of Line 15.
As Chief of Battalion 7, Palmer was amongst the first to arrive at the scene. As he entered the South Tower, he single-handedly fixed an elevator and took it to the 40th floor, halfway to where almost 700 people were struggling to stay alive.
And then he started to climb on foot. And because he was a very, very fit man, he was able to make tremendous progress. He had run marathons, he ran half marathons.
We're on the 43rd floor, near Stairway B. Unfortunately, trying to get up to Orio. I'm up to 5'5".
He went 12 floors in 10 minutes, wearing all the bunker gear, which is 50 or 60 pounds.
We're going to have to hook it. I'm on 69 now, so we need to higher back, Terry. These stairway walls have been compromised on 73 and 74. The walls are breached, so be careful. Okay. That's 10 floors. 6 more to go.
During his ascent, Palmer discovered that one stairwell, the south, was still intact all the way to the impact zone and beyond. For the hundreds trapped there, this stairwell could have been an escape route.
What stair are you in, Orio? South Tower, South Tower. We got 2 isolated pockets of fire. We should be able to knock it down with 2 lines. Where you know that? 78th floor, numerous 1045 code lines. 478. South Tower, numerous civilians. We're going to get 2 engines up here. All right, 10-4, we're on our way.
When I heard the tapes, you were watching a screen with all the words on it, but with a digital countdown, so you knew exactly what was coming. You knew the exact minute that the towers were going to go down. And you can't help but feel like you want to jump out of your seat and say, hurry up and get out of there. You know, you have 1 more minute before it comes down. And that's the hard part. That was the hard part. I was not surprised when I heard that Orio had made it to the 78th floor. He made it up to the point of impact, and it's amazing.
Why can't Americans hear about that it took a lawsuit under the Freedom of Information Act by the New York Times to get the fire department tapes released so that the public could hear exactly what the firefighters said? This occurring in August of 2005, almost exactly a year after 9/11 Commission had disbanded.
On 9/11, the most egregious act was perpetrated against the citizens of the United States of America. It had worldwide ramifications. The evidence is dispositive. In legal jargon, dispositive means no-brainer. It means all other possibilities have been eliminated, that when you look at this and analyze it, the only conclusion you can have, because all doubt has been removed, is that explosives, incendiaries, and controlled demolition were involved in bringing the towers down. Now, you heard Commissioner Joya talk about one of his colleagues, Orio Palmer. These firemen, these valiant firemen, went up over 70 floors, risked their lives. They had another line or two to be brought up. They were next to the fire, above the fire, in the area of the fire, about to put it out. You can imagine what must have been going on with those perhaps responsible for this action, thinking they put it out. What's the explanation to bring the towers down? They couldn't put it out, or wouldn't be allowed to put it out, because the official story, the official government story, is office fires brought the towers down, or office fires caused by jet fuel. And as Richard Gage told you, President of Architects and Engineers, Building 7, another giant skyscraper, the third one, was not hit by an airplane. There was no fuel involved from a jet airliner. But that came down for 100 feet, 8 floors or more, at free fall rate. Free fall means there's nothing under it. And as Richard Gage explained, nothing's under it. All the columns simultaneously being taken out, falling down in its footprint. There's only one conclusion.
I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center. Nations, democracies don't go to war easily, and they usually debate and argue before they do. Sometimes they have to be bombed into going to war. In fact, that's what happened in World War II. All of Europe had been conquered. You had to, America was actually bombed in Pearl Harbor, and that was a pivotal event that opened the eyes of Americans. And once their eyes were opened, they gathered the power that is available in this great free nation, and the result was preordained. I think in a similar way, the bombing of September 11th opened the eyes of Americans to see the great conflict and the great danger that faces us. And once opened, then the overpowering will of the majority of the people of the United States, of the steamroller, is inexorably moving to decide this battle. And this, I think, has been a wake-up call from hell. It is telling us, you have the power now to act, summon the will, because the terrorists have the will to destroy America, to destroy freedom, to destroy all of America's allies and all the democracies, Israel being simply on the front line. There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever. If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly said the September 11th attacks have been good for Israel. Netanyahu said, quote, "We're benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Towers and Pentagon and the American struggle in Iraq."
They had another line or two to be brought up. They were next to the fire, above the fire, in the area of the fire, about to put it out. You can imagine what must have been going on with those perhaps responsible for this action, thinking they put it out. What's the explanation to bring the towers down? They couldn't put it out, or wouldn't be allowed to put it out, because the official story, the official government story, is office fires brought the towers down.